Good afternoon, good evening, good morning, good night. All those niceties. Thank you for being here. Thank you for watching. Unless you are going through some sort of a crisis, a mental health crisis. If you are, turn this off and dial 988. They're like the 911 for the brain. Now, I just finished my video. I don't know why I'm pointing there because it happened right here. I just finished my video on politics and stuff. Now I'm going to talk about me. No notes. You're not going to see me looking down and then up. And just, I had been promising to tell people what brought me from New Jersey to Arizona to Massachusetts back to New Jersey. And it's not going to take that long. There were a lot of events, but they won't take long to describe. We have to go back to May 2019. I go back to Arizona for the first time in way over a decade. And it was vacation. A good friend of mine was getting married. I was invited. I attended. I got to meet her awesome husband. And at that wedding, and before the wedding, and after, I'm seeing people I haven't seen for 20 years. And I'm getting this feeling in my heart of like, this is where I belong. This is where I should be. And honestly, that is how it felt. And maybe it's true. Who knows? Maybe I'll end up back there someday. But rewinding even previous to 2017, I think, I had detached myself from the fellowship I belonged to. Put two and two together. But I didn't do so the right way. I did so in the let me see how many people I could piss off way. And the answer is a lot. I'm really good at pissing people off. But it wasn't right of me. So I had alienated 95% of my group. My social circle, if you would. My dad lives in Florida. My mom lives across the pond in New York City. And the way I felt in Arizona at that wedding was incomparable. Honestly, it was like a shot of dope without doing any outside substance. So people started to joke, why don't you move back? Why don't you move back? And you know how a joke can become something serious really quickly? Well, on July 10th, 2019, I paid the $1,800 and filled out the Arizona bar application. They told me it would take about 2 to 3 months to get back to me. Okay. So, well, April, May, no, not July. August, September, October. Okay, it's October, so, I had my monthly wanting to look like I'm not obsessed, but being obsessed calling them. So they said, your file has been flagged. Thank you, Captain Obvious. I knew they were going to want to do interviews with me because I was a bad boy a long time ago. So the 2 to 3 month thing I knew was nonsense. Not nonsense, I'm sure they meant it at the time, but I knew looking at my application, no, 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 no. And then they moved the person who was in charge of it, whatever. Then, so it goes almost a whole year till March 2020, and the world closes. COVID-19 happens. And that office is closed. Couldn't get a hold of anyone if I tried. And I did try many times. So I kept calling. Nothing for like months. Like I really was wondering if they changed their number. Then came the election. I'm not here to talk about politics, but due to a legal matter that took place in the Arizona Supreme Court, the lead attorney, Rudolph Giuliani, gave everybody COVID. That's the nicest I'll say. So they closed down the building again. So now we're going into 2021. I want to go out there. So I tell my job, I want to go out there. I really, really do. It's something that means a lot to me. Will you support me and I'll stay with you working on a remote basis? My job is awesome, by the way. Like, I mean, I'm sure I complain about my boss, blah, 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 but they have treated me very, very well. So they have to think about it. They have to call the lawyers. They have to do whatever they do. And a month later, I get called from the head of HR and said, "You've been approved." Keep in mind, I'm not admitted to the Arizona bar. I take that as I'm moving tomorrow. Never good at doing things slow, unless it's walking up a flight of stairs. So within 2 weeks, bags packed, and I'm driving across the country with the guarantee of my same job, a apartment which a good friend of mine found for me because he was part of the staff of that luxurious complex. So nice. So I get to Arizona, and I know there's going to be a big party waiting for me because I'm back. And the party wasn't there. You know why the party wasn't there? Because the party grew up. The party got older. The party got married. The party had kids. The party is no longer the party. It's the people. So it's not like Friday night I'm guaranteed to do something, although I could go down to the local ASU bar. I don't drink, so like it's old after a while. I met up with a few people, and I fell into a depression based on loneliness. This loneliness thing, it's a real deal. This loneliness pandemic, I have bought it hook, line, and sinker. And I felt trapped. And now I'm across the country. My dad at that point, I think, is in Japan. So I go to my sister and my mother for guidance. And they both say, move to Massachusetts. Because that's where my sister, my in-law, and their 4 beautiful children live. Didn't take any convincing on the phone with movers. That's my biggest problem. I don't think things through. I don't even have a place yet. So, but my sister lives in Massachusetts. So eventually I find a place, but there's a roommate, but I never met him, but it was last minute, so what could I expect? And if you're over 40, don't do the random roommate thing. I did it for you. At first, I met this gentleman, and he was very nice. He would give me all his food afterwards, and I like food. But then I noticed my things weren't missing, but they were displaced. Like, he would touch all my items, and like, bottle of water, just move it like that. It was just strange, because like, if you want to steal something from me, steal it. But I didn't understand the moving it part. Whatever. I'm like, if that's one of his things and I don't get stolen from, I'll live with it. So, I come back one day, and he's very intoxicated on alcohol. And my room is trashed. Now, I am not the cleanest person in the world, but I'd say I'm up there. And he called the landlord, who came up, who took his side on everything he was wrong on. It was very strange. Like, these two guys were ganging up on me. Verbally, of course, not physically. And after he had just trashed my room. I don't know what to do. So I go to a hotel that night, which is where I think this debuted. And I stayed out of a hotel for a week while just looking at places in Massachusetts. Coincidentally, my office holiday party was the following weekend. I went to it. You can see. You can go back to December. I have a great time. Not the best time in the world, but that's because I didn't know everybody anymore. That's on me, not them. But I definitely felt camaraderie that I hadn't felt since I left the fellowship. So now it just enters my brain like an RFK worm. Move back to Jersey. I talked to my mom about it. I talked to my sister about it. That was the hardest part. Because I love my sister with all my heart. And her whole beautiful family she's made. And having to tell her that my original plans of moving close to her have been changed to I'm going to go back to... It was difficult. That's why I made sure I went to their home and talked to them face to face. So there's no misinterpretation caused by this. She was very understanding. Said, you do what you have to do. So, I started hotel hopping in Jersey. Back to the apartment aspect of it. Now, this is the kicker. When I was walking down the stairs, he said, and look into my room, which I didn't particularly want to do, but I did. And I saw something that looked very much like a German swastika. 97.84% short. So you got a Jew living with a Nazi, and the landlord is of color. This was an explosion waiting to happen. Not based on my prejudices, which of course I have, everyone does, but they're not ones that would affect this. But it could with them. So I found a moving company, found a place. I'm happy with it. kind of happy with it. And I'm happy to be back. But I'm going to call myself out right now. I haven't taken advantage of being back. I've sort of isolated myself. And I'm not agoraphobic or anything like that. I'm isolated to an extent when there are plenty of people who have no idea what happened back in 2017 or have forgotten. Basically, I have a social base waiting for me. I just have to utilize them. And that's how I'm back. Do I regret going to Arizona? Absolutely not. Do I regret going to Massachusetts? Absolutely not. Last year was the year of wasting money on hotel bills. What you gonna do? But it reminds me of the final scene in American Pie. You know the movie I'm talking about? Where they all say, to the next step, or, the next part of our lives, and they'll toast. I don't think I went to the next step. I think I stayed on the lower ones. Now, I'm not talking about 12-step steps. Hyperbole here. And I think I got to see what's next. But with that, in the age group I'm in now, comes not being able to do shit I did when I was younger. And a sense of maturity. I wanted to share that with you tonight so you know how I ended up back in Jersey. If you have any questions, feel free. Like and subscribe to the icons I don't have. And if anyone watches this and knows my boss, feel free to tell him that I said my firm is awesome. They treat me great. Thank you and good night.